Kirk Show.
An NRA for families. That would be nice, wouldn't it? If we had people in Washington, D.C. and state capitals across the country actually defending social conservative values and what's happening in our country, from education to having more children. Well, a friend of mine is here with us. He is running the American Principles Project. He's doing a great job, and they're very involved in what's happening on the ground in Virginia. I want to talk to him about that. Terry Schilling from the American Principles Project, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me, Charlie.
So I'm hearing you through the other way, so just pipe that in if you guys can. So Terry, tell us what's happening in Virginia right now. You guys have been very involved in the McAuliffe-Youngkin race. It seems like it's tightening very quickly. What's happening on the ground?
Well, Charlie, we've seen a surge of support for Glenn Youngkin and a huge drop in support for Terry McAuliffe, and it's all pertaining to what's going on in Northern Virginia, especially as it regards schools. So parents across the country have been outraged at the fact when they learn that their children are being taught to judge their peers by their skin color, when they're being encouraged to change their gender even before they're 18. And they're also really upset about allowing boys into girls' sports. About 3 weeks ago, Fox News released a poll that showed Glenn Youngkin was down about 10 points among parents in Virginia. Just 2 days ago, another poll came out showing that Glenn Youngkin was up 17 points against Terry McAuliffe. There's been a 27-point shift in this race. It's a huge deal, and it's all being led by parents and families who are really concerned about the future for their children.
And that's an extraordinary development. Go into detail about the Loudoun County case, Terry, because some people have heard some of the details. The media is totally gaslighting this entire thing. Talk about how the father's daughter, the ninth grader, was raped in the restroom, and then they sent the ninth grader as a cover-up to another school, and it happened again, not the ninth grader, but the rapist. Talk about the details of that case.
Charlie, the details are absolutely enraging here. So this father who is in Loudoun County gets a call from the school saying that his daughter was assaulted. So he runs to the school to pick up his daughter, and then he hears the details from his daughter and finds out that this wasn't an assault. It wasn't an altercation. She didn't get beat up. She was sexually assaulted, raped in the worst possible ways. I can't even discuss it because your audience would be just throwing up. Then he confronts the school and finds out that they didn't turn this into a police investigation as a criminal matter. So he then goes to the school board meeting, the very next one that he could, to bring up the fact that this happened and to oppose the transgender policy that the school board was getting ready to prepare. As parents were bringing up the concerns about sexual assault from allowing boys into girls' private spaces, Dr. Scott Ziegler, who's the superintendent of schools in Loudoun County, told the entire room that he was unaware of any cases of sexual assault in Loudoun County School District, that this was not a problem. Charlie, the parents there organized, they got a FOIA request, and they found out that Dr. Scott Ziegler actually had already emailed the entire board in Loudoun County that there was a sexual assault by a male in the girls' restroom who was wearing a dress. This was a total cover-up. The media played along with it because they wanted to pass their transgender bathroom agenda. This is a total fraud. People need to go to jail. I'd be really scared if I was Dr. Scott Ziegler, if Jason Mayeres, who's running for Attorney General in Virginia, if he ends up winning, because that guy better go to jail.
But then they transferred him to another school. Talk about that. They transferred the rapist knowingly to another school, and the rapist raped again.
That's exactly right, Charlie. They try to cover it up. They don't want, look, these schools cover up anything that they can. They don't want things on their paperwork. They don't want it on their record. So they transfer him to another school. And then this time, the sexual predator ends up sexually assaulting another girl, this time not a 15-year-old, but a 14-year-old, in a classroom. Charlie, these are sexually dysfunctional, sexually confused people, and they're the exact type of people that we shouldn't be having in our schools. This is what parents have been upset about since the beginning of this transgender debate that started back in 2015. We don't want men, let alone sexually confused men who believe that they're women and don't see anything wrong with that, in the same private spaces as our daughters. It's very simple. This isn't about bigotry. This isn't about hate. We want to protect our daughters. And Democrats instead called us transphobic. They said we were bigoted. They said we were evil. This is an evil movement, Charlie. You know that better than anyone. And it's time to pay the piper. These people are going to pay a political consequence next Tuesday. And it's going to be something bigger. And I think we're going to see something incredible. And I'm calling it the Tea Party for families. 2022 midterms are going to be all about parents and families and protecting our kids in schools.
I love that. And Scott Ziegler is the bottom of the barrel. He's the type of guy who, of course, needs to go to jail and all that. But his pompous attitude and how he lied as an official of the superintendent of schools, I hope that he gets punished beyond belief, because the rape of the second victim is on him and the entire political correct ACLU transgender lobby pandering cartel of criminals that run the Loudoun County School Board. And parents are rising up in record numbers. Now, Terry, Virginia was a traditional blue state, and Youngkin was running like a super boring race. He was talking about, what was he talking about, Connor? Like Chamber of Commerce stuff, why we need to improve, licensing for hairdressers or something. And then Terry, all of a sudden he got a little bit based and he started talking about things that matter. Talk about that, and then talk about what happened to the polls as soon as he actually got serious about winning.
So, yeah, Glenn Youngkin really is a Mitt Romney style candidate. He has a lot in common with him. He has the same type of business background, the same corporate tendencies. And he was running this campaign about lowering regulations, protecting entrepreneurs and business owners, which is important. I don't want to attack business owners, but something magical happened. Charlie, as you said, we're the NRA for families. We only get involved in races where family policies can make a difference. So we weren't planning on investing any money here. But something special happened about 3 weeks ago. And that is the parents of this state started pushing back so hard against the school boards and these Democrats. Glenn Youngkin, to his credit, he saw the opportunity. He saw that this was a winning political issue, and he has stepped up to the plate. Look, you have to give Glenn credit. He saw this as an important issue, and he had a choice. He didn't have to back up the parents. He could have done what so many politicians do when these important issues come up and run from it, but he didn't. He stepped into the arena. He doubled down. He's been leading the charge against the Loudoun County School Board, saying that people need to go to jail over this. So he has become incredibly based, especially over the parents and schools and family issues. And it's absolutely beautiful to see. This is the key to victory. It's leaning into the culture. It's fighting these evil people that want to destroy our country, want to destroy our children, and control us. And I'm just so grateful. Charlie, and we've had a lot of great support from small dollar donors and others. We've raised almost $1 million to help get Glenn Youngkin elected and keep Terry McAuliffe out. And this message is really resonating with voters here.
Well, and this is something that shouldn't even be political, right? This is something that it's become political because of the other side. So talk about Obama's coming in, McAuliffe. You have the entire regime that is just flooding the zone. They don't know how to deal with this educational issue. And finally, Terry, we are seeing people take the stuff we've been talking about for years seriously. We've been talking about the transgender thing. We've been talking about CRT. We've been talking about children. And all they wanted to talk about was corporate tax cuts and, Bain Capital strategy to redomicile labor to Wuhan, China, when actually parents are now activated, the very same group of people that we were told Donald Trump was disenfranchising. Talk about that.
Well, Charlie, I think part of the big problem that we have in our country is that you have the Democrats, and they're the party of big government. They want to run our lives with government agencies and government bureaucrats. But on the other side of the aisle, the Republican Party has, for the most part, been the party of big business. They want big elite business owners and big elite business companies, like big pharma, big tech, big oil. They want them running our lives. And the real answer is neither. And part of our mission at APP is to turn the Republican Party into the party of families. That's the key to victory here. So
it's simple.
It's so simple and it's so obvious. This is what we care. We care more about our families. We care more about our children than our money. Everyone knows that. In fact, and no one knows it better than parents because we give our children all of our money. We pay a lot of money to educate them. We pay a lot of money to feed them. I have 5 kids, Charlie, as you know, and they eat me out of house and home. But I want to back up because something really important happened this Saturday in Virginia. President Obama came to town and he held a big rally for Terry McAuliffe because they're scared. And he said one thing that I really want to reiterate, and it shows that we're winning. He said, we need to stop focusing on all of these phony, trumped up culture wars that the GOP wants to distract us with. Charlie, this is the king of the culture wars. I mean, he was the five-star general leading the charge. This is the guy that sued Catholic nuns for not wanting to buy abortion services or birth control. He's the guy that started the transgender bathroom madness. But there's something really special here. He doesn't want us focusing on the culture wars because they're losing.
That's right.
They're finally realizing that they're losing, and they want to go back to the days where it was a one-sided truce, where the Republicans were the ones not talking about social issues and advancing and protecting families, where it's just Democrats going on offense. And actually, it's been a slaughter. It's been a massacre. If you look at how fast the country's changed culturally since the GOP gave up on those social issues for just those 4 years, we now have transgender children. Right, we have children that are permanently mutilating.
They're taking puberty blockers and chemically castrating themselves. I was just in Oregon, where you can get sexual reassignment surgery paid for by the Oregon government, Oregon taxpayers, without the consent of your parents. You can walk into a facility, no parent consent, sign a couple forms as a 12-year-old, and come out a different gender with irreversible damage to how God made you. Biologically and morally, it is disgusting. And we have a whole pile of stuff I wanted to get to, Terry, about Florida school board member takes elementary school students on a field trip to a gay bar. I don't know if you saw this one or not. In Kentucky, they're having strip club stuff actually in the gymnasium where students were stripping in front of teachers, and they think that's perfectly fine. Child pornographic material is now being found in the Texas schools. In 40 seconds, Terry, what can parents do? They are losing patience. Some of them are like, going to school boards is not enough. What can they do, Terry?
You have to get politically engaged. You can't just go to the school board level. You have to vote. You have to volunteer for campaigns. You have to donate to the candidates that need to win. And by the way, Charlie, you need to run for office. You can't just go to your school board meeting. There are 13,000 school districts in this country, 93,000 school board members.
Wow.
Thousands of them every year go unchallenged. Thousands of seats every year go unfilled. Run for office. No one's going to do it unless you do it. So I would encourage everyone to get involved in politics, run for office, get involved in campaigns. And by the way, sign up for APP's Big Family. You know, We're building a big family. You got big pharma, big tech, big oil. We need a big family to hold these guys accountable and have some consequences politically.
I love it. AmericanPrinciplesProject.org. Terry, talk to you soon, and we will get you back on for the Virginia race. Thanks, man. Okay. Every once in a while, a coffee company comes along that changes the way we think about our